We thought of it as a sign, but we made exactly $7,777, 35 hours total.
Why is no one else doing this?
Because nobody wants to actually put in real work. The trick is, I go on Zillow, estimated home value, I see $200,000 to $1 million. That's our target.
Get rich quick in terms of 5 to 10 years. I think that actually is realistic.
Making money online is a great way to make money, but I think it scales to a certain point.
If you can sell, you can be confident you'll never starve.
It's about $350 per house, so 90%.
So
margins.
that is really good.
Yeah. We've hit a jackpot essentially, right? It's 10 minutes of extra work, and it makes the homeowner feel like they got so much more value, which they did. So if you want to start tomorrow, you need $85.
All right, this podcast was a little different for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was my first in-person podcast, which means hopefully, since there was no problems with Wi-Fi or lag since we were actually in person, hopefully I interrupted a little bit less than normal. But secondly, what made this podcast a little bit special is normally I try to highlight people in the make money online space, but Elias, a fellow student at Cornell, actually made a lot of his money in physical, service-based business. And if you've ever been on TikTok, you're probably familiar with this business, but it's cleaning windows. Elias did it over the summer as a proof of concept and was able to make $8,000 in 1 week by knocking doors and literally just cleaning people's windows. That's all he did. And in this podcast, he tells me all about that, why it's so effective, how he plans to scale this way past $50K in just next summer's earnings, the importance of an email list, why logistics are so important in business and entrepreneurship, the benefits of physical service-based businesses compared to online businesses, and a whole lot more. Elias is a very interesting person to talk to on top of the side hustles that he's done, which seem standard but are actually much more lucrative than I once thought. With YouTube automation, a lot of people talk about whether something is saturated versus undersaturated. Well, it seems that window cleaning is honestly pretty undersaturated because no one wants to go outside and actually do the work. But if you set up good systems, which we get into on the podcast, you don't actually have to be doing a lot of the work. If you want to learn about sales or you want to do something face-to-face and not only make your money online, this episode is for you. So without further ado, please enjoy the show.
Elias, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being my first in-person guest.
Yeah, of course.
And
excited.
It says here that you've made $8,000 in a week cleaning windows. Why is no one else doing this?
I think nobody's doing it because nobody wants to actually put in real work, right? I think a lot of what your channel is about is automation, which is a great way to make money, 100%. But so many people are afraid to either put their face out there or go actually approach and socialize with people. And that's an area where I feel really comfortable in. And so I think it kind of leaves the door open for that service-oriented business.
So people want to just stay inside and not have to do
Pretty
anything,
much, yeah.
Let someone else make the videos for them and just make money passively.
Exactly, yeah.
But that's kind of a myth, you think?
I wouldn't say it's a myth. I think that making money online is a great way to make money, but I think it scales to a certain point. If you're gonna really run something that's gonna make you let's say $1 million a year, you probably need 100 employees and you're managing shit. You're not an entrepreneur in my opinion anymore. You're a CEO of a company, which maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. You have to pick if you want to do that. But if I wanted to do $1 million in sales for window washing, I probably need 5 or 6 employees.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into that. So what does window cleaning actually look like? So what is the process, and then why is it so profitable?
So essentially, we go to a house, right? Either we've gotten a lead online through Yelp or referral, something of that nature. And
Yelp, people put on Yelp?
They'll call us up. Yeah, so on Yelp, we have a page.
Okay.
We're developing a website right now. This is kind of in the future, but we did have a Yelp page, and we got 4 or 5 customers from that. I'll get a call. People think we repair windows, not clean them. So they'll be give me a quote to repair my second story windows. And I'm yeah, we don't do that.
Yeah.
But essentially, they'll call us up. So we'll go to that neighborhood or a lead from a parent, a friend, something of that nature. And so that's easy, right? That's very easy to make a sale if somebody's already interested in it because we're good at our closing process.
That's just search traffic?
Yeah, which is getting
that's really
pushed.
powerful.
Yeah, which is getting pushed by Yelp.
We're getting into that.
They've also offered us $900 in free ad credit too.
Yelp has?
Yeah.
Why? Because
They just want to get customers.
do they get a percentage of each
No.
sale you make?
So stuff like Angie's List, stuff like that, they will take a percentage, but Yelp, they just want you to pay for ads yourself eventually, so they want to show you like how powerful the ads can be.
Okay.
Yeah. So essentially, we'll go to the customer. So then once we do that job, or while we have the people we've hired doing that job.
So, but it's that or cold.
Yeah, so I'm
doors.
getting into
Okay,
that. So
got it.
after we've completed that job, or after we've sold that job, what we'll do is we'll have their name and information of the person we just sold, and then we'll go to like all the neighbors near them, so like the next 10 houses, and we'll knock on the door. We'll be like, hey, we're doing John's house two doors over. He's getting his windows cleaned today. You know, because we're in the area, we can take off our transportation fee. If you give us 30 seconds, we'll give you a quick quote and be back at your door. And
I'm sold already. Yeah.
That first step, it's so low committal, and it's like a 30-second thing. Nearly everybody has time for it, and they're willing to listen to you because you have the social proof of selling John or Mary down the street.
I was gonna say. So how important is that? Like, what would your close rates be if you didn't say I just closed your neighbor's window versus if you did?
It definitely helps. I mean, we've only done about like 20, 25 clients to do that $8,000. It was a proof of concept. So we're keeping track more of those numbers this summer, which we'll probably get into later. But our close rate right now is about 50%.
Yeah, that is absurd.
Cold knocking, yeah.
That is absurd. And yeah, I'm sure if you didn't say like, oh yeah, we just did your friend's thing. I know for me, like when I was trying to find a new editor, literally I put in a request, I got hundreds of DMs, and someone was able to skip the entire line of 100 people by just being through someone I knew who worked with them before. So I just like, if it's someone I know, it's like my trust is just way higher, and I just am so much more likely to go with them.
And also, if that's the other thing, like if you know somebody, right, you have trust in that person that you already know. So if they refer you against somebody, that's the same thing with why people get job interviews to the second round immediately. Anything in life, like if you know somebody that knows somebody and you trust their opinion, it can make your life so much easier.
Yeah, I think I saw this one short by Alex Hormozy where, I don't know if you've seen this one, he talked about like how there was a salesman that was closing way more than all the other salesmen, and they looked and they were like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? So they reviewed the whole call. And the only thing this salesman did differently was asked at the end of the call, do you know anyone else who would want this?
Really?
Yeah, and so all the leads he was getting was way warmer than everyone else. And he was like, wait, this is in the script, right? You all were supposed to be doing this. Wait, you guys weren't doing this? What the fuck? Like,
yeah. It's crazy how something that small can make such a difference. And I agree with you. I think because we have that social proof and some of the stuff we want to go into later, like permanent LED lighting on houses or maybe pressure washing or other kind of service-oriented jobs, having that social proof, especially like permanent LED lighting, you can literally drive down your street at night and you see your neighbors have it already, and you're like, shit, they're getting it done. Like, I want to get it done as well, right?
Yeah. Especially when you can physically see it, right? You're
absolutely.
Like, you feel like you're getting outdone if they have the cool Christmas lights and you don't, and you're like, wait, no, I gotta be on their level, like.
Yeah, and the best part about permanent LED lighting, and one thing with window washing, is it's more of a seasonal business, right? We clean spring to summer when pollen gets on the windows. Permanent LED lighting is something that can go all year round. It's not just meant for Christmas.
Interesting. So I feel like there's, on top of the social proof, there's another psychological aspect at play, which you mentioned, which is the like quoting them, because that's like a very easy thing to say yes to. I don't know if you've seen that study about it's like the foot in the door technique. Where, yeah. Okay, you know the one I'm talking about.
In psych class, I literally made a video about foot in the door.
Yeah, exactly. So it seems like that's at play as well. Yeah, for anyone listening, they basically did one where they ask people to put a sign in their driveway that tells cars to slow down, and people are usually unwilling to do that. But if you come to them a week earlier and say, oh, would you put this tiny sticker on your window that tells them to slow down, they usually say yes to that. And if they say yes to that, then the next week later when you ask them to put the sign up, then they almost always say yes. Yeah. And so it seems like the same thing is going on when you ask for...
Yeah, 100%. So when we were doing this project, the whole process we went through was like, our goal was to end up getting $10 from the person at the end. And like $10, right, that's currency, that's something somebody's earned. So that's a really, like if you just asked anyone for $10, nobody's giving that to you. Like, that's why homeless people have so much trouble begging for money. So a lot of them, like, they have these creative signs, which helps. But essentially what we did is we asked them, like, hey, could we just ask you a question? And the first question we did was like, oh, like, could you shake my hand, please, right? That's something you do when you greet people. Super low committal. And essentially we worked our way out from like a handshake to then like clapping to spinning around to telling us their name, their age. And eventually after like it was like a 10-minute conversation we had with them, we're like, hey, would you donate $10 for our class project? We got like, I think it was like 3 out of 4 people were like, yeah, I'll donate, or they're like, do you take Venmo? And like, we didn't even ask. We were like, oh, we'll take Venmo. We only want cash. They like offered to do it for us, which we thought was pretty crazy. But it's, 100%. It works without a doubt.
Right, and that all comes from you asking the previous questions that get them to start to be, okay, cool.
And that's a huge part of our sales process, right? Because it's so low committal to be like, first you hear, my neighbor's doing it, and then you hear, this will take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And we're upfront about it, too.
And then you get the quote,
Yeah.
And you're like, you don't have to do anything. It would just be this much.
Yep.
And then, so when do you collect the money on that? Before?
So we collect after we do our job.
Okay.
We have a policy where it's like.
Have you ever had anyone?
No, we haven't. We haven't.
Okay.
So we've had
so
people.
You've been in good neighborhoods then.
Yes. I think.
Is that another important part of the strategy?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so where I'm from, it's the main. Well, I live in the city now of Philadelphia, but I'm from the main line, and it is a wealthier neighborhood. I'll be the first to admit that. So I'm sure that helps a lot, but I've seen like middle class and up. It actually is harder to sell like a rich person on it, but the middle class is like our sweet spot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get into that. But I want to know, so, okay, why do people, you charge what, 200, 300 per?
It's about like $350
depends.
per house. Yeah, it depends on number of windows and square footage.
Okay, so what would make, I'm not a homeowner. I'm 20 years old, which makes sense. But I'm also from a city, so I would probably buy an apartment regardless.
Yeah.
But what would make someone want to spend $350 on having their windows cleaned? Like, do they care that much about it?
So, I mean, as a homeowner, like I always knew my parents to clean their windows, and it's hard to clean the outside of windows. And so one of the main things is, like I said, is it's a seasonal business. So from spring to summer, I have really bad allergies, so I know all about pollen, but the pollen is horrible. It sticks to your windows, and it's more of an East Coast thing. Like I know if you go down in Arizona, people move there because there isn't as much pollen. It's desert, etc. But it sticks to your windows, and you can really point out that pain point. So after we make a quote, what we talk about is we talk about what our process involves. So it's like we clean the windows, the sills, and the frames. And a lot of times people have like their door and then a window right next to it because you can look out your window. So what we'll do is we'll like walk up and we'll take our finger and we'll like drag it across the window or the sill, and you can see the pollen come off. So it's more of showing the pain point, and that's the best time to make the sale is when people are aware of the
deepest pain, part of pain. And the main pain is that their windows just look nasty from the pollen.
Exactly.
Huh.
And
okay, yeah.
We've also found that like something like for most homeowners, right, a $300 purchase is not a big expense. Like if you have to replace a water heater, for example, that can be like a couple grand to even like $6,000-$7,000. So $350 seems very marginal to have something fixed that day for you. And also it's something that is a hassle for you to do yourself. Like if you were to clean your windows yourself, that's like an all day type of thing. If we do it for you, we can get it done in like an hour and a half.
Yeah, okay.
And that's like climbing on ladders. Yeah, so we have special tools.
I'll get into the fulfillment process in a second. So I just want to make sure I lock in this first though. So your strategy is to first get your first clients through search traffic.
Yeah.
Once you get one, then you can cold door knock. But the cold door knocks really aren't that effective until you have someone in the neighborhood that you can name drop and say.
We can, so they are still effective. I mean, it just depends on the type of client. You know, if the person has dogs, like our close rate goes down by like 30%. And that's just because they're distracted by their dogs or they don't want to open their door all the way. So it's hard to create a personal connection. Yeah. It's the small things that you don't think about.
Funny, yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Social proof helps so much. And also like the right time, you know. So we try to do all of our sales between like 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And that's because it's before lunch and just works better. It's like the start of a day and it's like, oh, I'm getting another thing done today.
Okay, people feel more productive. Okay.
It would be interesting to try out after lunch too. I know that like people's mental state change.
Yeah, there's
they're more likely to say
angry
yes.
Judge theory or whatever it is. Yeah.
I think it's a crazy stat. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know judges are way more likely to rule in favor of the defendant or whatever if they've eaten lunch or didn't eat lunch, depending on where their lunch break is and then where they're ruling on the case.
Yeah. Okay, so once you get the person and you refer, you go to the thing, you get a quote from them, or you say, could I have 30 seconds? I'll give you a quote and just tell you what it would look like. It's a pretty easy commitment for most people, so most people just go forward with that. And then you pitch the close. So let's say you just went around my house.
Yeah. Okay, so I've gone around your house. I counted up the windows. This is not something I'd say to you, but just for context. Let's say you had like 50 windows, and I'm like, 3,500 square foot house, no skylights, nothing that would be inherently like difficult to get to.
I'm an annoying, arrogant person.
Pretty typical house. So I'd walk up to your door. I'd be like, thanks so much for letting us take a look at your windows. We counted them up. Looks like there's about 50. So that would typically be about $379 for your house. But today, because we're in the area, we're actually going to knock off $100 for you. And that's just taking off our transportation fee. We'd love to do an amazing job for you. How does that sound?
That sounds pretty fair.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We'd love to get this service done for you. And I mean, if you look, we do a 3-step process. So we're going to do the windows, the frames, and the sills. As you can just see, they're nasty right now. We have a special water-fed pole.
Yeah. You just did it right there?
Yeah.
That is nasty, yeah.
Yeah, we have a water-fed pole so we can clean everything, and it's going to leave them streak-free because of the filter system that we use. So if you're ready to move forward, we can get that done for you in the next couple hours and check back in, make sure everything is 100% perfect.
Yeah, that would be pretty easy. What if it's not done to my liking at the end?
Yeah, I mean, so we have a 100% money-back guarantee. If this isn't something you appreciate, we'll walk around the property with you when you're done if that's something you'd like. And if anything's not up to standard, we'll make that right. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. You know what? Let's do it.
Perfect.
Deal. Okay, so that's
actually a pretty easy sale. Normally people hit you with
what objections do people normally hit you with when you're trying to close Windows sales?
So a lot of time it's like, we're working on some other projects right now. We don't have time for this. Another one,
we don't have time for this.
Yeah, no.
How do you handle that objection?
So a lot of
times
it doesn't
take any
we'll
time,
say,
dumbass.
Yeah. I mean, you don't say that, but you say it's a really great value right now. And then a lot of times we'll ask the question if someone's worried about price versus or value. We'll say is the concern for you more that the price is not where you want it to be or the value you don't think is enough? And then based off that response, we can talk more about the cleaning process and what it's going to look like and that we guarantee. And then another thing we can do, if the value's not there, we'll knock off maybe a little bit more, but we'll ask that they give us a really awesome review on Yelp or something, or that they refer us to their neighbors, and we'll be happy to give them a little bit more of a discount. And that normally actually can seal a deal because people actually value getting a deal more than they do getting something for free. Because it's like if you think if it was we're gonna take if the price is this and suddenly you get a 20% discount, it's the same thing shopping online. You feel way better if you scoured for 20 minutes to find that discount, even if it's $10 than getting something for free. Because if someone just tells you it's free, then you're skeptical. You're why are they doing this for free? What's in it for them? But if getting the deal feels like you had to work for it, and people like things they have to work for.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, I've heard with overcoming objections, a lot of time people will go, so if this was free, would you want it?
Yeah.
And when they say yes, you've isolated price as the objection
exactly,
rather than value.
So we're pretty upfront about that. We'll ask them, and then a lot of times it's for us. It's better to make a sale than it is because if we're at that point where we're discussing price and they're definitely interested in it, you can make the sale, and it's kind of if you walk away, I'm fine with let's say we quoted them now at $279. I'm fine with making it $220 and losing that $50. I know our margins are there where we have a lot of wiggle room, and I mean I could talk about that later. Our only expense is insurance, which comes out to $5 a house, plus the salary of a worker, which is $10 to $20 an hour. I mean, depending where we want to be.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
So on a $200 house, it's essentially I'm just charging the rest of it is based off of my time to make the sale because it costs
to make the
around
sale.
$20 to $50 per house.
And you have the fulfillment just done by a friend.
Yeah, so right now we were cleaning the houses because we wanted to figure out a whole training process, and we're making like video tutorials that we'll give to our workers.
Like training material.
Yeah, we're gonna hire high schoolers, and it's gonna be about $15 an hour, and we'll buy them like free lunch.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say with the sales process as well. I feel like that's another thing. Another thing I've heard a lot of people say is that you use their objection as the reason to go forward.
Exactly.
So if they said, "Oh, I don't have time to do this today," you might be like, well, that's actually exactly why you should go through today, because what we're doing is saving you time. You don't have time to go through with this today. Which is what
exactly.
We're here for you.
Yeah. And it is a very tedious process to clean windows. A lot of people also ask if we can do the interior windows. We just do exterior, and that's just because it's less liability for us to not have to go in someone's house. Right. But also it just makes the process faster, and it's very efficient. You don't have to be as like delicate with an interior window per se.
Interesting. But okay, I'll get into that in a second. Or actually, let me just ask now. So what are the common upsells for window cleaning?
Yeah. So
indoor windows is
so
one.
we still are staying away from indoor windows.
It's just not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's harder to train people too, and you have to use different equipment than exterior. So suddenly you're lugging around like double the amount of stuff you need, plus you have to pay for like soap and a lot of other things. We don't use soap when cleaning the windows.
Just pressure?
No, not even pressure. So it's an extension pole that's water fed. So water runs through a filter and it runs up the pole, and then you can wash the window. It shoots out of like jets inside of a little brush that you scrub.
Oh, and that's enough to just. I guess you're just getting
because it's mainly
off.
pollen and like bird poop,
so.
which doesn't actually. If scrubbing and water is enough to remove pretty much all of that. Yeah. So the main upsell we do is we do screen cleaning as well. So screens sometimes are on the outside of the windows, sometimes they're on the inside. So that would be a procedure where we'd have to walk inside the house to remove those. And then we just do $10 a screen. Normally there's the same amount of screens. So that basically doubles your ticket value, and it adds about an hour of time. It's essentially like it's like a brush, but it's like tall. You hook it up to a hose, and then you just like scrub the screens through.
I see. Yeah. So that would add, in terms of cost, it would add for you like $15.
About $15.
But you make, instead of $300, like $600.
Yeah, exactly.
That is fucking awesome.
So it's a double upsell pretty much.
Are there any other things like that? Like what on the home ownership problem solution cycle comes after window and then bug screen cleaning?
I mean, I think the main thing, right, our main pain point that we're able to reveal to a lot of people is like there is pollen covering everything, and everything is like yellow. It's disgusting, and it's so obvious because you can literally pull your finger and see underneath. So a lot of times we've also been asked sometimes like, hey, could you clean our back patio furniture? And sometimes we do that just as a courtesy to the customer because we know if we do something like that, we tell them we either get like a tip. That's another thing. We also get tipped a lot too, or we get a 5-star review like automatically. And that's just because it's a super noticeable thing again, especially most people have like black patio furniture, so it just shows up, and just wiping down like their table in the back and doing that like extra, it's like 10 minutes of extra work, but it makes the homeowner feel like they got so much more value, which they did. And really makes
and the leftover goodwill gives you much more 5-star reviews
or a recommendation
tips,
or something,
or referrals. Yeah. Do you collect a review from every house you clean?
So we try to. That's another process which we weren't as good about last summer, but we want to every single customer.
I'll be a homeowner again.
Yeah, we would just ask them.
Great job. The windows look good.
Yeah, thank you so much. If you want to leave us a review, you can fill one out on our website. We'd also really appreciate your email just so we can send back a survey if you have some time to. And then
put them in the email list.
Exactly.
And then hit them next year when
exactly,
their windows don't have enough pollen.
So we have about 80 people on an email list right now, and that's just because I'm part of like a housing community, so I was able to gather that. And that email lists I found are super powerful. We got like 25 people out of the 80 to respond back to the email list and actually go through and get the service done.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, that's insane. And each sale is worth like $300. Yeah. Profit is probably like $200 or maybe a little more.
And it's really nice because we didn't have to do any work, right? It's a copy-paste email that we put in.
So each email you get is worth like $2 a year.
Yeah.
Right? So then you just build the email list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you never have to worry about client acquisition really ever again.
Yeah. Because that's the goal. And again, with doing that extra 10 minutes of work to clean the back patio or creating a money back guarantee type of service. Like customers are like, they did a great job last year. The pollen is disgusting again this year. Why wouldn't I go with them again this year? And then, I mean, obviously I said it's not hard for us to make a lead, like it's 50% close rate, but I'd still rather just have a customer reach back out to me and be like, can you come clean my windows again? Because
100%.
it's still even less effort.
100%.
Yeah.
That's insane. Okay. So now I'm going to go clean windows. What neighborhood should I go to? So tell me about the difference between targeting like lower class, middle class, and upper class neighborhoods and the advantages and disadvantages. So I know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah, so I've actually found, I'll start with the rich. Because you'd think that would be the easiest. They have so much money, they don't care. But the rich are, a lot of times, they're actually the most frugal, because the reason people are rich is because they know how to save their money and not get kind of upsold by a lot of these things. So a lot of them I found are like the biggest hagglers. So the trick is, I go on Zillow and I'm just like, okay, estimated home value, I see $200,000 to $1 million, maybe $1.5 million. That's like our target middle class. I know that includes kind of toward the upper 1%. But those are the people that they probably own the home, they're not renting it, so they have like they're homeowners, they're proud homeowners, and they want to keep their things nice, right? A home is an investment just like everything else, right? If you invest, I don't know, in like collectibles or something, or like coins or something, you want to keep your coins really nice, right? So they have good resale value. You put them in a case, right? And then you put them in a safe. You keep them safe. It's the same thing with your home. You're not like letting the pipes all burst and your toilets clog up and your windows covered in like pollen so you can't see out of them, right? You want to appreciate it. So that's why the middle class kind of turned out the best for us. And then the lower class, a lot of them are renting more than buying. So it's like, why would I pay? My landlord should be paying for this.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's another psychological effect, like the endowment effect, where when you own something, you put in I guess it's also like the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
The more of you have a lot more attachment to something when you put in a really strong emotional investment into it.
Yeah.
And so I guess a middle class person, they probably spent a large percentage of their income
absolutely
to the house, and so they want to keep it in pristine condition.
And also with the mortgage, right? That's a bill you have every month, right? Most mortgages can be from like a couple, like $2,000-$3,000 up to like $8,000-$9,000 a month. So it's a recurring fee. It's not like you just pay the down payment and you forget about your house. You know you're continuing paying for your house, so it's again wanting to keep it in pristine condition.
Okay, interesting. Okay, we've been through everything. So yeah, now talk to me about the full expense. So I know start to finish how you get clients in the door. Now what's on the back end, the expenses for you, and how much are you left over with?
Yeah, so last summer, it was besides the machine that we bought after we started cleaning, it was all pure profit. So we did, it was kind of crazy. It was like a lucky number. My friend and my business partner and I that I started with, we thought of it as a sign, but we made exactly $7,777 with like tips included and everything. So
and that was 1 week. That's insane.
Yeah, it was 35 hours total.
Wow, dude.
So yeah, we were pretty impressed. I mean, it wasn't like we did it for a week straight. It was like 5 days, and then we had a 2-day spurt. But total hours, so we were like, this is a sign, like we've like hit a jackpot essentially, right? So we did that, and then we spent about $1,800 on the machine. So originally, what we started out on is and to explain if anybody wants to start this, you go to Home Depot or you go online and you get a squeegee or 2 squeegees if it's just you or someone. You get an extension pole, you get a bucket, and you get Dawn dish soap. And that is literally all you need to start cleaning. Maybe a microfiber towel. That's all you need. Costs like $80 to get all of that.
But that's the bare bones.
Yeah, that's bare bones.
Because you don't use soap now.
We don't. We don't.
But that's if you're just starting.
So if you want to start tomorrow, you need $85.
Bare minimum.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's not much. Anyone. And you'd make that back with one sale.
With one job. Yeah, exactly. So that's the other thing too, is you could go out and sell a house. Say, hey, you go to your neighbors right next door, or your parents or your uncle or whoever, and you say, can I please clean your windows? And you can, to make sure you guarantee the sale, say like, normally I charge someone $300 for this, but I'm gonna charge you $100. So then you just cover your costs, and then you go to Home Depot, you say, I need the money now. You go to Home Depot, you buy the stuff, you come back, clean their windows, do an amazing job, and then now you have all the gear and you can clean windows. So it's just up to you how much money you want to make at that point.
That is beautiful. Thank you for saying that, because I hate when people are like, oh, I can't start, it's like too much capital. It's like, it feels like there's always a way to start.
Absolutely.
If you're creative enough, you can always start before getting your hands on money.
Exactly.
And that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, because we make the sale before we clean anything, right? I mean, obviously we collect the money at the end, and that's part of our business process. But
you could collect up.
We could, you could, and especially if it's like your uncle or your brother's or whoever, your friend's house, they have that trust with you because you're literally have a relationship with them already, so they'd be comfortable doing something like that. So essentially, but anyway, going back to the cost per house, so we then bought this, it's called a pure water system. So essentially in your water, there's like there's like biological substances, so like little like mosses and algae and things that are in the water. So essentially this filter, it runs through it, and it's called total dissolvable solids. So it's inside your water. So essentially it just clears all of those out. So you have like you wash your car and you have like the little water spots that appear on it. They kind of look like little rings, or sometimes they're on your window. It essentially makes it so when you wash with something, when it dries, those don't form.
There's no blotches left.
So that's how we're able to get away with not using soap. I mean, we could, if there's like a really dirty window, we will use soap and we'll scrub it harder. But essentially the water runs through that system. It connects to the homeowner's water supply. It runs up through the water-fed pole, and then we scrub the windows and clean them. So that whole system, including the pole, to get started, they have complete packages, which are $1,800.
And so, where do I find this package?
There's companies called like Window Washing 101, like Window Cleaners Company. There's probably like 8 or 9 companies where you can buy, and there's stuff that ranges. It ranges up to like $5,000, but that's for like a machine that you would like hook up inside a van or something like that. And then from there, you're just limited. It's a 300-foot hose, so normally hoses have 2 hose outlets, so we'll clean half the house, then we'll move it to the other side and clean the other half.
And so if you buy one of those, you can do one house at a time, basically.
Yeah.
And so if you ever scale to the point where you're doing multiple houses
we would
during
get a
the same
second
time slot, you would need to pay another $1,800.
So what we're planning on doing this summer is hiring 2 people. So we're going to buy a second machine. And then we'll have each as an operator that operates, and then my business partner and I will go around to the entire neighborhood, make sales, and do like a neighborhood for like 3-4 days, for example, that we got a lead in or a couple leads in the beginning. And then so it will basically just be like anywhere from a couple $1,000s a neighborhood.
Okay, so those were the fixed costs, and so what are the variable costs in terms of getting to starting to scale, like how you're trying?
So we have we have the salary of our workers, which we're planning to do about $15 to $20 an hour.
And then how many hours does it?
So a house can take 2 hours is like the longest. Like if they're doing screens, it could take like maybe even up to 2.5. But the average house is about an hour and a half.
So we'll say like $25 a house.
Yeah, and then
to pay to get that done.
Yeah, give or take 25, 30. And then another fixed cost, we have insurance that we'll start paying for, but that's again really cheap. It's like $5 a house probably.
Okay.
And then the last cost is the filter. So we have to replace the resin filter in the machine, and I guess you could say depreciation on the machine is another fixed cost. If you really want to get into that type of detail. But the filter we replace like every 40 houses, and that's $200.
Okay, so that's also pretty marginal.
It's like 80 to 90% profit margin.
Okay, so per house you're spending like $35, $40 probably.
Yeah, probably
everything as a variable cost, and then you're closing like $300 to $250 to $600 if they need the. Okay.
So like 90% margins.
So that is really good. So what is the main value? So it seems like your main comparative advantage here though is being able to close. Is that what a lot of other window cleaning people that are going to be hired as high school students suck at? And the reason they can't just spend $85 and start this themselves?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's such a common question in like all of business. Like, why couldn't the people you hire just do this themselves? I think the main things is like, one, those people don't think like an entrepreneur like you or I would, right? They're just thinking, oh, I'm getting $20 an hour. This is a great deal.
I could buy a sandwich.
Or like if I save up enough, I can buy a new phone, you know? Instead, they're not thinking that big picture. So, and it's high schoolers, right? They don't have maybe the resources to like kind of go through that, because also like the machine that they're using is an $1,800 machine, right? It's not using what we started with. So they feel like there's much more of a barrier to entry. And then obviously like I'm a very charismatic person. I mean, I'm literally studying hospitality, so I have a lot of experience, and I came up with the sales formula based off of some YouTube videos I found online. This guy Oliver Lester, he also literally sells windows.
He's that TikTok guy.
Yeah, he's a TikTok guy. You probably seen him.
Window.
And I literally saw him, and I'm like, all right, why is he so successful at sales? And I'm like, is this actually legit, or is this like totally staged? So I literally like wrote down. I was like, okay, what does he do every single time he approaches the door? What does he do if they say yes to this? Like, I basically made like a triangle tree, and I was like, okay, he says yes here, they say no here. Like, what does he do next? Because he literally, it seems like he can close every single job. And from there, I was like, okay, now I just have a formula where I walk up to a house and I know exactly what I need to say to make the sale. And obviously, sometimes it doesn't work, right? 50% of the time they say no, but if we do like 10 houses, that's 5 jobs, and if it's $300 a house, that's $1,500 in a day.
Yeah.
So
that's insane. Yeah.
It works really well. So I guess our comparative advantage is like the kids that are working for us, they don't think like an entrepreneur. It's the same thing with YouTube automation. Why doesn't an editor start the exact same channel you're doing? They don't want to put in the work. They just want a consistent income.
Yeah.
And we can worry about the growth and whatever the business needs to be.
Yeah. Well, first with Oliver, one thing that I think he has on pretty much everyone else is he has a Canadian accent. So that makes it pretty hard. That makes it pretty hard to compete with.
Yeah.
But no, I was going to say also, that's a pretty interesting point because I feel the same way. It almost feels borderline illegal to hire someone to do something for me when that thing makes me more money than it costs. I'm like, there's no way that this feels like it shouldn't be allowed.
And you also think like they should realize this.
Yeah,
right?
and I'm like, I know, because me, entrepreneurial minded, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, dude, why are you not trying to do this yourself?
You should just copy me.
But I do understand. I think my things that I feel like can justify it. First of all, the 1,800, no doubt, there's a lot of people who, no chance they're putting down 1,800 on
there's
something
a lot of risk associated with
so
that.
That's a barrier to entry that a lot of people, even if they wanted to take the risk, might not be able to. But two, a lot of other people don't like taking on any risk. Like, they don't want to, even if they had the capital, then have to go to the house, and if the person says, there's a chance you go to 10 houses, no one wants it, and then you go home with $0.
Yeah.
They don't want that.
They don't want to have to deal with that.
To be an option.
And it's also, the other thing I'll mention too is with the sales process, like, my business partner, he's getting a lot better, but he wasn't as charismatic with me. He's a little bit more nervous to approach people, and that was like the first thing. So a lot of times we'd see like an old people, I'm like, all right, you're gonna do this house because it's easier to approach like an older person, or like a grandmother or a grandfather, and just practicing that because people are afraid to hear no. They are so freaking afraid to hear like, no, I don't want this. And then it discourages them. Like, I'm never going to try again because it's like, I heard no once, so that's probably the outcome every time. When realistically, it's not. You just got unlucky.
How do you get comfortable with getting no's?
You have to hear it a lot. That's pretty much it. And you have to fail a lot. I mean, failing is so important because every time I fail, I don't look at it as like, damn it, like they didn't get it. It's like, okay, why didn't they want it? Or what did I say that I fucked up the situation? And then I'm like, okay, so they said no because I like tried to be a scummy business person, right? Okay, how do I make it so I'm not a scummy business person next time if a similar scenario comes up?
Okay. So you just view it as more of like a math problem or a science problem.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm making it seem really formulaic, but every person is different, and the best thing is to be like a genuine, authentic person with them. And they know you're running a business. They know you're trying to make money. And if you can have that like respect between each other, then normally you can come out positive for both people.
How do you like be yourself on a sales call or on a sales door knock? Like, how do you include those jokes or those elements of your personality without, I don't know, seeming salesy?
Yeah, I think that was a big thing is like, because if you think about like your average salesperson or like during election season, people are door knocking like crazy. You're like, oh, I'm just not even going to answer the door.
Yeah.
One thing is like, I think looking professional to a certain extent can help, but also like when someone opens the door, right, you create like an icebreaker, be like, you have a beautiful home. Or like, oh, I'm giving a discount to people wearing green shirts today. You qualify.
I've seen that.
Oliver
from
Lester
Oliver
does that a lot.
Lester, yeah.
And he does a great job of it because it creates that like personal connection and people know it's like obviously a joke, but it also makes them smile. And when you make someone smile, you've like won half the battle.
Yeah, there's this is another thing from the book Influence. We've been through like all of these. But there was one where they tested like people receiving compliments when they know the person complimenting them was paid to compliment them. And they still rated those people as more likable,
really,
and more likely to buy from
Yeah.
when they know the person was, when they know the compliment was inauthentic.
People
if you can
love,
get someone to smile and just just say something nice to them, I feel like that's so
absolutely.
valuable.
That's like when you always ever see a TikTok where it's like girls get like 1 million compliments every day, and then like guys get no compliments, and then like someone goes like, oh, I like your shirt, and then the guy like goes crazy, like smiling, is freaking out, because it's like, I mean, obviously like girls, they compliment each other a lot more than guys typically, so it means a lot to that person. So if you can find something that maybe not everyone would notice, or something that's pretty personal, like, oh, like you have beautiful eyes, right? Like,
that's like a Riz.
Yeah, that's more of like a Riz
yeah.
type of thing. But like, if that personal connection, people love to hear their name and love to be complimented. So if you can do some of those things.
Do you get their name early on?
Yeah, normally we'll introduce ourselves. A lot of times I'll start with like, nice to meet you, my name is Eli. I'm here with Window Wizards. We're cleaning X person's house. I'd love to run around, give you a quick quote just because we're in the area. And that's like 90% of people are like, yeah, fine, go do it.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. So then how do you, okay, so now that you got all this, you know your fixed costs, $1,800.
Yeah.
You know your variable costs, $48 a house about, and you know how much you make on the front end. How do you go about scaling this up? So where do you find these people to do this for you? And then how do you turn this into, you've done in your first week $8,000. How do you turn this into $1 million a year business?
Yeah. So $8,000 a week is about like $500,000 a year. So
you're halfway there.
We're basically halfway there. But
again,
it's
not, you can't do that all year.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
And that's the big disclaimer. It's more of like a 3-month type of business. So that's like about $100,000 in a summer, which is like, at my age, I'm very happy with that. Like, that's great. But again, to scale it, it's just hiring more people. It's expanding into things that are year-round, and going from there. So this summer, we expect, our goal is to do $50,000 just for the summer. So a lot of it is like putting a lot of systems in place. So like, we didn't even have a website. Like, we literally made a Yelp page so we could have reviews, and then we were like cold calling people using connections or walking up to their door. So this summer, a lot of it is like putting some of those systems in place to like talk about our services and put reviews on our website. We're gonna have like a business phone number and like LLC our business to protect ourselves. So a lot of it is like putting systems in place, and then it's pretty much just hiring people, because our time, right? We have like 8 hours in a day that we want to work, because we also just want to chill out sometimes too. So it's just hiring people so that my business partner and I, we can just focus on the sales aspect of it and working and managing those people, and then we're testing it with like 1 or 2 people, and then as that works, they do the job so we can focus on getting more leads for them so that they're constantly busy. So essentially scaling is hiring more people and creating more leads.
Right. So from the back end side, it seems like you also talk to me about the training videos to make sure that but that seems to be like the first part that you scale out rather than the front end getting new clients in the door.
It's not hard to get clients, so that's not the hard part for us.
And you know that you can do that with a 50%
I know I could walk
close
out
rate.
tomorrow and go to 10 houses and get 5 clients set up. So we're not as worried about that. We're more worried about protecting ourselves from liability. Not that we think anything would happen, but like some of our employees, they might have to stand on a ladder. What if they fall? Like, then they're gonna try to sue us, especially because like where I'm from, there are some people that are richy rich, and like if one of their kids works for us, like I don't want to get sued for like $10 million because little Timmy broke his elbow, or his neck. So getting all of that stuff protected, like, is just good for us. Like we finished up our partnership agreement a couple weeks ago. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it makes a lot of sense. Like, I've done this with the YouTube automation stuff. Is I do the whole thing at first, so the front end, like running the YouTube channels and getting it views, and then the back end, like actually making the videos. And the first thing I always do is look to how do I automate the back end part of it.
Sure.
And that's also what I think is so beautiful about being good at sales. It's something I actually want to get some more experience in, is because if you can sell, you can be confident you'll never starve.
Exactly.
Like if there's ever, like there will always be companies that would want more clients. And so you could always go to them and say, I can get you more people.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
Just teach me your
whatever,
business model,
whatever it is, whatever the thing is, you might not fucking know how to plumb.
Yeah.
Like you
but
can't
I could
be a plumber,
get your
but
plumber,
you can get exactly
plumbers more business. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's a skill that is so worth having.
Yeah. And that's originally also why I started photography too, because like whenever I'm in life, I just tell people, I take photos at events all the time. Like I did headshots for big thing at our school is like all the business clubs want headshots. So I normally every semester I get like 3 or 4 texts like, hey, could you come do headshots for our club?
Yeah.
And that's just like a small recurring revenue. I probably only make like $400 a month from it, but it's like just an extra thing where it's like, because I'm being proactive and trying to sell my business. I'm not the best photographer in the world. I'm not like close to being talented. I don't know the most, but I'm just communicative about that I'm able to do a service that the average person can't, and it creates passive income.
Well, yeah, you know what's so funny about that though is that like I feel like this has happened in the online space because again, with a lot of the people I've had on my podcast, like they make a lot more money than I do. But I'm the guy behind the podcast channel. Or with my YouTube channel, like I had this guy Blake Ryan on, and he runs like 30 channels, like long form, short form, bro. He's doing like multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars a month.
Which is
insane. I'm doing like maybe 10K in revenue and like under 10K on some months if you include expenses. And my YouTube channel has like way more subs than his, like, and it's just like, you can get ahead of people who are more qualified than you
100%.
just by being better at communicating or knowing the platform better, like that. So there are people that are way more skilled than you at photography,
everything.
way more
or
skilled than you at
sales
cleaning windows. But because you know how to communicate better, now you're getting the business instead of them.
Yep, exactly. And I think that's the other thing about going back to like people are afraid to hear no or get told no. The reason I'm so comfortable about doing that and like not caring and having the confidence to just be like, I take photos, and when a lot of people would be like afraid maybe to mention that, is because I've been told, no, I don't want you to take photos for me, or no, I'm not going to pay you for this job, right? Like the amount of times I've been told, no, I don't want your photography, or no, you can do it for free or not at all, has allowed me to be able to then create value and learn how to sell myself as a paid service.
Yeah. So just finishing up on the window cleaning. So once you scale the back end, how are you going to scale the front end? Like, how are you going to get more salesmen like you to actually close more people? Or are you going to do, at scale, do you need a different strategy? Are you going to run paid ads instead of knocking doors?
Yeah. So, later in the process, I mean, I think my business partner and I, we're very comfortable with doing the sales portion for a while. Like, I genuinely enjoy it. Like, if I went out every day and just sold
it's such good reps as well.
I think it's great reps. I enjoy it, so I don't see that changing for at least a year or two. But so a lot of it would start to become more paid ads, and that just creates leads because it's like somebody already wants you. Because I value my time a lot too, right? I still have to go out and sell those houses, and that is time.
But you'd never be able to scale past it if you can't find another way to get those.
So
people.
I guess you could say like the long-term goal, like a 5-year, 10-year plan would be like to just expand it to the greater Philadelphia region. And to do that, what do you need to do? Again, the back end, you have to hire more local. I want to continue to hire local high school kids because I think even if they don't want to be entrepreneurs, it's good to work a high school job, and we can always make it good paying. But it would be training sales associates to go out
and knock doors.
So it would probably be like a pairing. So you have like one salesperson to like 2 window washers. So then they go to a neighborhood, they sell a bunch of houses, and then those cleaners come in and they clean that area for a certain period of time. But eventually, once we grow an email list, you won't really need the sales component of it. Only if you want to expand into a new area, because we're constantly just then re-cleaning. And once we get more numbers about like how many people actually get a cleaning every single year, then we also will know if we need
what your year-to-year churn is.
Exactly. And then it just becomes.
What do you expect that will be?
I think it's pretty high because I think probably this is speculation, but I think it's pretty high because it's like the hardest thing is to actually make the sale, but pollen happens every year, and if people thought their windows were dirty then and they liked the service, why wouldn't they get it again? It's not like a subscription where it's like maybe you're subscribed to like a food tracking app and you're trying to count calories.
Yeah.
Eventually you learn enough and you don't need to do that anymore.
You know what
you
need
cancel.
to do? You need to like have every person that you put in your email list take a picture of their house when it was dirty.
Yeah.
And then send them that picture.
Yeah.
When the
That's
next
actually
year
a great
starts,
idea,
because you told me that a big part of it is the pain, the immediate pain that they feel, and actually triggering a sale when they feel that pain. And if they receive an email from you and they're away from home, they might not even care or think about the fact. But when you show them, this is where your window looks like this. You can't even see through it. They're like, oh, yeah, he's right. Yeah, come clean that.
Yeah, come clean.
Yeah.
Alex Ramosi, again, he did a really great episode. He helped like a chiropractor business, which is a video, ton of value. I would watch anything on his channel. You actually showed him to me.
Yeah.
But one of his videos where he helped them is what they would do is they had the person come in at the chiropractor office, and normally a lot of times what they said they would do is they would like give them a small adjustment just to give them some relief. And he's like, well, did you make the sale then yet? And he's like, no, like we don't make the sale until the next day when they come back to give them a consult and like the full package plan. And he's like, what you need to do is you need to make the sale when they're in their max pain, because if you fix them and they feel a lot better, they're like, they come the next day and they're like, oh, I feel better now. Like I don't need it. And then suddenly a week later, so then it's like you're wasting all this time and energy to then have them come back like later or like then do another consult because you filed away the paperwork, etc. You need to make the sale at max pain point.
You want your largest offer to be at their maximum pain point.
Exactly,
Yeah. Okay, and then can I ask, are you passionate about cleaning windows?
I wouldn't say like passionate about cleaning windows.
I would have to assume the answer is no, right?
No, probably not.
So do you care about sticking with it at all, like yourself? Or is this something you want to just do, like get mostly outsourced within the next 2 or 3 years and let it kind of grow itself other than large-scale managerial processes?
That's a great question. And I think originally the reason why I was like, okay, cleaning windows is great is because my family friend's dad manages transactions for entrepreneurs, and I heard that he had managed a transaction, like he makes a commission on it, that's why he does. But an entrepreneur had 27 car washes and he sold them for $250 million. So I was like what?
What?
Yeah, $250 million for 27 car washes. I was like, that is insane. I didn't even know that something like that could be that valuable.
Wait, what? Wait, no, that's not possible.
Yeah.
27 cars?
No, 27 like automated car washes.
Yeah. Bro. Because I was like 10 mil to wash one car. That's not possible. Okay.
So they're automated car washes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
He
built up a car washing business. So some of them are automated.
So this is the Jason Derulo method.
Yeah.
Okay.
But essentially, he sold it for $250 million. I'm like, what? Like, who would buy 27 car washes? I thought it's normally like a mom and pop type of thing. But then I thought more about it, and I'm like, it makes a lot of sense because people always need to get their car washed. And it will always be a viable business model no matter what. Cars are never going away in the next 100 years.
They're never not getting dirty.
And they're never not getting dirty, right? So I was like, okay, so it's probably really stable income, right? It's a great, like, you get 10% or 20% return on your money every single year. So I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. What's like another service-oriented business? And I saw a lot of Oliver's videos, and I was like, okay, this seems like kind of BS, but it also seems like it could work really well. So I was like, okay, let's try it. And that's what this summer turned into. And it wasn't that I was passionate about cleaning windows, or like maybe there's a lot of people that do like pressure washing houses, or you see people like mow lawns. Like, I'm not passionate about any of those things, but I'm passionate about making money, and I'm passionate about like giving people like a positive impact on their lives and helping them out in some way. And keeping their house in pristine condition is something to do that.
Yeah, it's so funny because I talked to like a Cornell entrepreneurship professor, and we were showing him the YouTube automation thing, which again I think a lot of
What was the professor's name?
The animal stories. I might keep that confidential for this episode. But yeah, I was showing him like the animal channels that we run, and he was like, "Man, like, you know, this is great, but like, I really feel like as an entrepreneur, like, you have to have a why. Like, do you really like care about?" And I'm like, he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And I'm like, to a normal person, they'd be like, I don't know, I guess I'm in it for the money. But for me, I was like, well, that's like, for me, feels like a really deep question, because that's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I just like,
It's fun.
I like
yeah.
building businesses and making money from it.
The process is
I don't
enjoyable.
need to, I don't need to know everything.
Yeah.
Like, the way the channels are ran now, I don't actually need to know every component of an animal video and each animal.
Yeah.
So that, I'm not really part of that process.
Yeah.
And then it's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just like entrepreneurship. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's-
That's
well,
the
it's-
means is the end.
I guess
Like,
I guess my answer could also be like, it could be a million different things, like you said, but it's also like, I always say I want to be an entrepreneurship because I could never work for somebody else. Like, because some days, like, I mean, I'm not diagnosed with ADHD or anything like that, but I definitely have trouble focusing, and like, sometimes I'm really diving into something, and sometimes I like couldn't for the world of me like stay focused on it. And I think by working with someone else, you're locked into this like 9 to 5 or whatever they want you to do. And for me, it's like, so many of my friends are like, oh, I have an internship, so I can't hang out or go on a trip or like go skiing or would do whatever, on X day. But for me, I have that opportunity as an entrepreneur where I get to pick exactly what I do want to do when I want to do it. And also, if I don't do anything, then I get nothing. But if I do everything, I get everything. So it's all on me. And I kind of like that. And I like people relying. I think there's so many different reasons why it's like fun to be an entrepreneur. Like I'm trying to start a YouTube channel right now too, and I enjoy that I get to pay my editor. Like, for me, that's an enjoyable process, because it's like he's doing something for me, which is benefiting me, but I'm also paying him for his work, and like he makes a living off of that.
And ideally he likes
and
editing as
enjoys
well.
it.
Like, imagine getting to do something you like and getting paid for
My
it.
editor
It's
literally told me, he's like, dude, you're so much better than the other people because nobody ever gives me feedback. And like, I was like, I would have thought I would be kind of an annoying person to work with because I want like this perfect product. But he's like, I enjoy that you actually care about getting the right product instead of just like getting one thing and then never coming back to me. Like, you tell me what I need to do and then I learn and I can do it right the next time.
100%. Yeah, I on the topic of like 9 to 5s, I heard that if you work for someone else, you're either making someone else rich or helping them achieve their dream.
Exactly. Yeah. And why wouldn't I want to go after my dream?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess some people just don't really have a dream that they care that much about.
Which is fine.
So sad to me.
Yeah.
So sad.
It's hard for us to relate.
Yeah. Okay, so we just talked about like whether you're passionate about window cleaning, and it seems like you're more passionate about entrepreneurship as like a general thing. But even within that, photography is something it seems like you have more of a personal passion of doing. Like, if you were given the same amount of money a year no matter what, you probably would choose photography over window cleaning.
Probably. Yeah. I think my greatest passion is probably cooking.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I love to cook. I worked as a sous chef for 2 summers, and I was making like $12 an hour, but I loved it. And every night I was working like 40 hours a week from like 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. and I loved it. Every night would go by and it felt like an hour or two, and that's just because I love like cooking. It really is a passion for me because it's like I'm creating this plate and I'm creating this experience where someone's gonna enjoy their meal with whoever they're eating with. But yeah, photography as well. Originally I started shooting photography because there was like a girl I liked in my class. Didn't work out, and I have a girlfriend that I love now. Much better than that ever would have been.
That's a little creepy, no? It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take pictures of you now. Like,
no, and not of her, but it was like there was a photography class at my school, so I took that. But instead of getting the girl, I ended up realizing I enjoyed photography, and I started shooting track meets a lot. So, and I met a lot of great people with that, and I enjoyed watching it as a sport. So yeah, I'd love. If let's say I made enough to live my life how I wanted to, of the 3 things, I'd probably pick photography or cooking for sure.
Okay. What 3? Of photography, cooking, or window cleaning?
Yes.
The third. Okay. Window cleaning would be lowest.
Yeah, that would
list.
probably
Okay.
third.
Okay, but yeah, I feel like though maybe for you let's say photography you could never scale, but window cleaning you could.
Then I would probably pick window cleaning.
Even if the amount of money you would bring home at the end of the day was limited, or no?
What do you?
Let's say you were given $300,000 a year, no matter what thing you did. with window cleaning, you still get to scale it up and see, okay, the business still makes this much more money than last year.
Yeah. But I just
have
take
this
my
many
salary
more
is
employees.
$300,000.
Yeah, but your salary is $300,000 a year no matter what.
You know, I don't know. That's a tough question because, like, at a certain point, entrepreneurship shifts from being an entrepreneur in growth to then managing a lot of people. So if it comes to a point where it's like, oh, I'm managing people rather than like being this creative, like an ideator, someone who's like coming up with the next idea, then I would probably not be as interested in that thing. So if that's what Window Wizard, if suddenly I'm like managing like 50 employees, that's like not exactly what I want to do. And that would be like, that would be a time where it'd be like, okay, time to move on to the next idea, whatever that is. So I guess you could say I'm passionate, about entrepreneurship.
Got you.
I don't know if that answers the question.
No, I think that does. I mean, I feel like for me, like a lot of people think entrepreneurship is the process of trying to make money and have successful businesses. But I actually view entrepreneurship as the pursuit of scale, basically.
Okay.
So you could have a person running a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And you'd prefer a really good entrepreneur to be running that on salary.
Yeah.
Then you'd prefer a really empathetic person to run.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
And I think to directly answer your question, I'd probably pick window washing to scale it because it's also rewarding. It's like the ideas you come up with and the process you put in place, like make something grow bigger, and you're helping more people, right? I can take photos of so many people on my own, right? But there's not really a way to scale that unless I'm hiring other people. But then I'm not even doing the thing that I enjoy, which is photography.
Exactly. And for me, to a large degree, it's not actually about even how much money I make. It's about how effective can I be at the pursuit of scale, basically.
There's a certain point as well where it's like, okay, I've covered all of my expenses and then some.
And luxuries.
It's like it doesn't matter how much. It doesn't matter if you make more money. It just matters about what are you passionate about, and that passion is maybe it's scale or developing some new awesome idea that's going to impact an industry or a person or people in a positive way.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's just I hate feeling inefficient. And now that I know that instead of making a video, like when I realized every time I've employed a new element of scale or leverage into my business, I've been like, oh my God, bro, I was editing these videos myself.
How could I have been doing it this way before?
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly.
That was like when I hired my editor, I was like, this guy does the exact same thing I do times a million. That was taking me 4 hours to do. And if, like, let's say right now, an arbitrary number, I value my time at $100 an hour or $200 an hour, suddenly I'm saving. Like, I looked at it as like I was saving like $200 by paying this guy like $25 to edit a video. That would take me 3 hours, you know?
Exactly, yeah. So that was a huge unlock for me, the editing. The other huge one that happened to me recently, which just pissed me off, again, but then made me so happy that I now know I can do this, is like, we first got a deal with like that music royalty company.
Sure.
So on YouTube Shorts, you can make extra money by adding music. Link in description. No, I'm kidding. You can make extra money by adding like music to your YouTube Shorts, and certain companies sponsor that.
Yeah.
And so, initially we got like a deal with them, and they were like, oh, and if you bring people on, you can get like a little commission. And so we were like, okay, this is good because like it was an indefinite commission deal. So anyone we brought on,
you'd get
lots of
more money.
passive income. So it's like that's something I value really highly. So I was really trying, dude. I have my Instagram juggling account with like 300,000 followers. I was cold DMing YouTubers, like trying to get people to sign up. Dude, after like tons of cold DMs and like effort, I got like 3 people after like a couple weeks. Yeah. It was just so bad.
And you probably reached out to like 300-400 people.
Yeah, the thing is, it also just sounds way too good to be true. Like it's like, oh yeah, you just add the song and you make it double your YouTube ad. And like, I just feel like people didn't trust it.
Exactly. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like something that's free versus getting a deal. It's like, I shouldn't do this. Like, if he's arguing for free, he's clearly getting better than whatever I'm going to get.
Yeah, exactly. So that was so hard. So yeah, that basically made nothing. And then I came out with that one YouTube video, the non-guru one that went super viral. And then that alone has brought like 300 people from a video pretty much that signed up through the thing. And I was like, bro, like what am I doing? I'm like, okay, now I know 1,000,000% just getting good at YouTube is infinitely higher value than hey, dude, you want to, like, no way I'm doing that ever, like, at that point.
And the thing is, too, is, like, with a YouTube video, like, obviously that video went totally viral, but it's also, like, you put in the same amount of effort to maybe, like, talk to one person online, but it allows you to reach a whole nother audience, because instead of you putting your time into it, you put in your time for a set amount, and then your time gets, like, exponentially grown.
Yeah. Everyone can receive my time
exactly.
with no extra time.
Exactly,
for me
absolutely.
Yeah, so I feel like for me, that's the joy of entrepreneurship, is seeing, it's a little angering, but it's necessary for growth. Every time I see a point where I was being inefficient, and there's a way 100 or 1000x more efficient way to do a thing, and I'm like, that's what excites me every day about entrepreneurship.
But how you learned that too was by failing, right?
You're right.
Before you realized that, you literally said you like messaged like 300 people individually. And if you didn't learn from the 300 different times, like I'm sure by the end of it you were getting better at like sort of kind of selling it. But if you didn't learn that, you wouldn't have then been like, okay, I failed at this, I should probably try something new. If you just kept doing that and were like, oh, I'm just gonna fail, or if you just gave up, you never would have had like your first viral video, for example.
100%, yeah. I definitely did learn a lot doing that. One thing that for some reason, I didn't pick up quickly on was that, this is so obvious, dude. It's way harder to close someone over text than call.
Yeah.
I'm like, why did I not?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, obviously I should set up a video call and explain it to them, but whatever. Good thing I learned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you also could have given up, and a lot of people do that.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to get into now your experience with YouTube, because that's a huge area for me. I'm sure a lot of people watching, they're not used to, the thumbnail for this video is going to be you with like a little window, holding a window cleaner and a window, and it's going to be like he makes $8,000 a week cleaning windows, something like that.
All right.
But a lot of my audience is in the make money online space, and it seems like YouTube is something you're trying to get into now as well. So tell me your experiences with that.
Yeah, I mean, so when I was a kid, I was a YouTube kid 100%. Like my mom didn't let my brother and I watch TV. She thought SpongeBob would like give us like crazy like voodoo nightmares because of the voices of the characters. So I don't have a lot of that culture. I mean, I do from YouTube, but like of like the classic, like I couldn't tell you 99% of SpongeBob episodes because I just I've never seen them, and I haven't seen stuff like that. But I was always on YouTube. So when I was younger, I started a trick shot channel with my friend. We were like flipping water bottles. I don't know if you know of Jack Dorothy. He's like the douchebag of YouTube essentially now. But I started watching him when he had like 1,000 subscribers. Like I was there from day one.
Yeah, damn.
So that was fun. We got like 1,000 subscribers, made like $150. That was before YouTube had all their like monetization requirements. But a lot of less people were using the platform then too.
Yeah.
My friend and I had a falling out. He deleted the channel. I remade it. It's got like 400 followers now. I sang Old Town Road at my school talent show, and that video got like 30K views, so sort of viral. I don't know. But yeah, so today I started a channel, a faceless channel that does like food history and like crazy stories. So like my most recent video is about how like Dunkin' Donuts like had a donut with like a little handle knob on it so you could dunk it in your coffee and not get your fingers dirty. Like stupid kind of stuff like that.
No, that's kind of cool. I might need to watch that video.
Yeah, so that's pretty fun. And I think more of why I do it is like I enjoy the content making process. And I was like, this could be fun. Like I just want to experiment with like going viral on YouTube and see if I can do it. And it was kind of more of, it's less about like making money from it, and it's more about like proving to myself that I know, like based off of everything I've heard and the things of like, can I make a hook that goes viral? Like if I test these certain things, because like at the end of the day, like if I want to make a window washing business, like we're also experimenting with making content to like do like sales call like Oliver Lester does. And so by doing that and going viral with that, because it's just like a second way to monetize your income, right? Because if you have a platform, whether it's faceless or whether it's like your face and you are the brand, again, it's just a way for brands to reach out to you and have more exposure to yourself.
100%. In terms of that, like I talked to a guy, the podcast that's going out right before this one, I talked to a guy, or sorry, two before this one.
Okay.
I talked to a guy who does 2.5 mil in revenue from reselling video games.
Okay.
But
Just like
now,
eBay dropshipping?
yeah, so eBay, Amazon, there's a platform called Whatnot.
Yeah, I know about Whatnot.
Yeah.
I collect Pokemon cards, so I know all about Whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, so he basically started a YouTube channel for it.
Okay.
And because of the fact that his business has so many like interesting rare collectibles, he has the chance to make really good videos. Like he can be like playing Mario Kart on the first Game Boy.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like
Yeah.
like crazy stuff like that.
That most people don't have access to.
Yeah, exactly. He was able to scale his YouTube channel up really quick, and like of that 2.5 mil, I think YouTube as a platform now is responsible from like ad revenue and sponsorships for like 20% of his total revenue, and that's not including how much traffic it pushes to their site when they sell.
Which probably
video
accounts
games.
for a lot more.
Yeah. So like, it's crazy, and all he's doing essentially is making videos off the back end of what he was already gonna do.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably the most efficient way to get content.
Yeah.
Which is like, this podcast is a really good form of that, where it's like I talk to someone who I want to learn from anyway. So I would talk to you and learn from this to begin with.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting a long form podcast out of it, which is going out to people, and then that gets repurposed into a ton of shorts, which I get out of it.
Yeah. So you get like 5 uses in one.
Yeah, exactly. And like in terms of the shorts, yeah, it's just crazy how efficient you can get shorts out of a podcast. Like I did one like 1 hour session with my friend, especially if you kind of fabricate the podcast a little bit to just have them ask you specific questions. Dude, yeah, 1 hour podcast, like 50 shorts.
Yeah.
Insane.
Because there's just so much content, and there's so much, and that's why people started doing that online. But yeah, I mean, the main thing, but also it's like, again, with YouTube, like I'm starting a personal brand as well, but like the point of it is just to give myself exposure. And I think you've discovered that so much with your channel. Is like some guy literally like was like, yo, I'm just Venmo'd you $200 to like have some of your time. That would have never happened if like nobody ever knew your face or who you were. And it creates like a level of trust that is completely different. So that's why brands want to work with you. But you look at all the YouTube gurus, and like this is my problem with a lot of them, is like they say, oh, I'm making my money in drop shipping or YouTube automation, and you do make money from that. And like I'll be the first to say like, yeah, you can make money from that, but a lot of your money, your main recurring, is like repurpose.io that you use, right?
Yeah.
You get $1,200 a month of it. That's like 10% of your income right there.
Yeah, bro, the music royalties I think are, I don't know yet. We still have some negotiating and calculating to do, but for sure could out earn like how much I make from YouTube Shorts automation, which is like, I'll be honest about that. A lot of other gurus won't.
They would just act like they don't
like
even have
all their
that
money
as a
is
sense
coming
of income.
from their automation stuff.
Which is kind of just misleading.
Yeah.
And like all of the like drop shipping channel, like Jordan Welsh, for example, he made like hundreds of thousands of dollars from Shopify because, well, one, he sold his company to them, but the second thing is because that like $1 sign up to use their website. After the first month, it goes to like $30 a month, and then he gets like 10% of that. Like, and he probably got like 2, 3, 5,000 people, because most of his videos get millions of views. Yeah. So even if like 1% of them sign up, that's where he's making all of his money from, and that's where he's getting like $100,000 a month numbers. You know, just to have a platform where you can, and a cult following of viewers. You could say, obviously it's not a cult, but it provides him so many more resources and opportunities than like putting hours and hours into drop shipping and like scaling it, because eventually it gets boring to make like 30 drop shipping stores, and you also have to like constantly update it and stuff. Affiliate links is consistently recurring revenue.
Yeah, and I think the only unethical part of that comes when the person is misleading about it. Yeah. And they're not going to say,
they're telling you I made $1 million from drop shipping when really they made $1 million from affiliate.
And it's like, this could all be solved, bro, by just people making, this is what I do, this is what I recommend everyone does. Just do a financial audit every month of your income on your channel, and just show your viewers where everything's coming from.
It's, people are afraid though. It's like the same reason why like rich people don't like release their tax returns like a lot of the time. And that's like a whole thing in the news. Like whatever you believe, at the end of the day, like every rich person like doesn't release their tax returns.
Yeah. So what is your personal brand gonna be like? What do you stand for, and what do you stand against in the YouTube channel that you're starting with your actual face in it?
So I wasn't actually going to really focus on the YouTube channel, but I like my channel. So obviously you do animals. I like what I'm doing with my channel, because I feel like obviously there's people that love animals and it provides real value to them. I love like food and cooking. So I think it's easier for me to be like providing real value to someone about like this cool like fun fact about food that you wouldn't normally have known. But I mainly want to focus on my channel is like talking about service-oriented business and how I think that can really impact people because
okay, so that'll be part of the same channel. The shorts will be fun cooking facts.
That's that's a separate channel.
That's your faceless. Okay, yeah.
So my actual channel will just be my name, Eli.
Okay.
But it will be mainly to focus on like I think there's so many entrepreneurs out there, right? There's a ton of entrepreneurs that want to do stuff online, and that's great if that's what you're passionate about or if that's what you find the most interest in or whatever. There's also a ton of people that are like, I don't really like technology, or like I'm not a kid that grew up on YouTube, and I want to.
I want to touch grass.
Yeah, literally, like
crazy opinions.
Yeah, and there's people that like. I have a friend back home who I'm gonna feature on my channel. He makes like 5 figures a month cleaning cars, like luxury. He has a luxury car detailing brand, and he makes like a couple $100,000 a year cleaning cars, and he loves cars, and he enjoys that job, and it just works. It works great for him. He loves it, and I think there's a lot more people that are like that. He didn't go to college. He just directly out of school did that, and I think so many people out there now today and that make money online, like they don't talk about in-person stuff and like being personal because there's a lot of people that enjoy that interaction or like have passions that they couldn't necessarily do online besides like making a personal brand about it.
So make your case to me right now. What is the benefit of why should I pursue, let's say I don't know what I want to go into right now. Why should I go into service-based entrepreneurship rather than online-based entrepreneurship?
I wouldn't say it's like better to go in one or the other. I think the reason I'm
the reason sell me on it.
The reason I'm drawn to it is because I like interacting with people and I enjoy that face to face. You know, COVID was very hard for me because it's like some people really liked that, but like every night I was playing every night I was playing video games with my friends and we would like stay on for hours just to like hear each other's voice and talk to each other. Like that was not something that was fun for me, and I enjoy that like personal connection that you can create with people. I just think it's really valuable because it allows you to see like actually impacting someone's life. Like this shorts channel I'm making, sure I get like my biggest video is like 150,000 views on it. I don't know one single of those 150,000 people besides like a couple of my friends that are subscribed. So I have no idea how that content's impacting them because like, I mean, obviously some people comment on the videos, but like, it's just so like removed. And I feel like if you want that, like, I think the best thing I can say is like, it gives you like a positive feedback loop that you can like genuinely see. Instead of just like numbers going up on a screen, you actually get to see the people you impact, which is pretty cool.
So there's a big emotional
rewarding. Yeah, I think the main thing is emotional. Yeah.
Okay. And then not to play that down, but what would be the mathematical benefit or the like logistical benefit?
It's easier to make more money.
Why? Okay.
So like think about any business that, well, not any business, I guess, but like, okay, let's take Apple, for example. I think they keep like switching back and forth with Microsoft. You could use them interchangeably, but like Steve Jobs originally when he created it, like he can see all the people that are benefiting from using his iPhone. Obviously they do a ton of software now and designing it, but that is like the biggest business in the world, right? When have you heard of like a drop shipper like creating the biggest business in the world? And maybe that's something you want, but the other thing is like, I don't know. I think it's just easier for me to wrap my head around. It's hard to like explain. I think it's just like you either relate to it or you don't.
Well, from my view, I think a service-based business, you can start making money with it today.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that online too.
For what things can you start making money online with today?
You could make money drop shipping today. Like you design. Let's say, like, okay, but again, you have to have more experience. I see what you're saying. I see you're probably guiding me in the right direction.
Yeah.
You could. Like I said with window washing, you could go to Home Depot that morning and then sell 3 houses and make that money today. But it also could take you like 5 days. Like, I think it depends about how you're motivated. If you started a drop shipping store, if you had experience, you could design it, and let's say you already had a winning product. You launch ads that day and everything, you could make a sale that day.
True. That's true.
I think it has a lot to do with the motivation factor, and I think in person it's easier to stay motivated because you have that emotional connection and you can see and you can like I literally get handed cash that day. Like with online, you get paid like monthly by YouTube, right? Yeah. So it's like you do all this work and then you finally get paid at the end. Like if I want to make like $500, I could walk out tomorrow and get handed $500. But again, I don't see that as like necessarily a major difference between the two, because it's like at the end of the day, you still get you do get paid. Because like if you want to build a massive business too, right? You should be reinvesting all of your profits back into the business to grow it, right? You know, right now, if I just left the business how it was, great, I made $8,000 in a week, but like I could just keep doing that for 1 week, but like that doesn't scale to anything. That doesn't like do anything. Yeah. So I don't think like you should be like, it should be a conversation of like, this is better, that is better. It's just like, do you like working with people more, or do you like working in like just you yourself, like online? And different people are comfortable with different things. So you just have to do what's best for you.
So like I should look at temperamentally whether I'm more extroverted or introverted, and then
the other thing I think you could say is like
more sense to do.
Online is, you could say, is more saturated. So if you're gonna do something online, right? If you're drop shipping, right, you have this winning product. Well, a month from now, that's no longer a winning product because people discovered your ads and they're like, oh, this guy is shit. I just searched up, because there's all those tools to search up like how many sales you're doing. Shit, they're doing that. All right, I'm gonna be a keyboard warrior and like make my own site and do exactly what you're doing. So there's like that constant research. Like even though there's other window washers, it's like a bunch of 60-year-old dudes. Like think about a 60-year-old dude and then think about me who's 20. Like who's gonna have more energy at the end of the day? It's so much easier to compete with like your competitors.
Yeah, I think that like what you said at the beginning of this podcast is really true. Like people just don't want to put in actual effort to things.
And like, online feels easier.
Yeah, exactly. And online feels like less effort. I mean, physically it definitely is less. But yeah. So another thing you brought up to me was, in a different conversation, was like that with your channel, like one thing you want to really highlight about entrepreneurship is that people disregard the logistical aspects of entrepreneurship, like taxes, LLC formation.
Yeah.
What aspects do people not look at, and why is that so detrimental?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we talked about this a little bit before, but it's like, so for example, right, let's say you run a shorts channel. A lot of people struggle with like copyright issues, right? You get copyright strikes, and you've made some videos talking about how to get rid of those copyright strikes. But like, let's say you really mess up and you like do something with Disney. Disney's not copyright striking you. Like if it's something really bad, they're suing you, and they're suing you for like a lot of money. So if you're not protected and you don't, LLC stands for Limited Liability Corporation. If you're not separating yourself and your business, suddenly you're bankrupt, and you're like, let's say you've made like this empire, right? Then you have nothing. So there's a lot of like fundamentals to business that I think get lost, like lost in the sauce per se, that a lot of like YouTube gurus talk about. They're like, oh, I just made this dropshipping store. Well, I know one person, they started a dropshipping store and they ended up getting sued because the dropshipping product they were using from China was a copycat of an American product that was being made, and they didn't go after the manufacturer. They just saw that person was selling it, and they're like, we're suing you. So they were they
LLC'd?
No, they weren't. So they were able to get out of it because they just were like, if you take down your store immediately and stop selling this project, like that's fine with us. But like if things could have gone like just slightly differently, then suddenly it's a massive problem with them. And it's the same thing with reporting your taxes and stuff, because like, I mean, at least in the US, right, you have the IRS who's gonna like, you can go to jail, right? And obviously these are extremes, right? But like there are still like smaller problems that you can pay large fines. Like there are things that you have to set up, or it's like hiring people or like managing people properly, paying their salaries, or like not getting scammed. Like there's a lot of things about business that are kind of just neglected. It's just about like
cybersecurity. That's when I definitely
you could get hacked. Like Discord, for example. Like before I join any server, like if I don't know the person that owns it or something, like I'll do a lot of research on them and stuff, because like you could imagine you joined a server and like a lot of servers have like a bunch of links that you click in. What if you click on that link, it's like a phishing link? And obviously this is like, don't get scammed on the internet, kids. That's kind of what I'm preaching right now, but it's a lot of it is like, there are a lot of steps in business. You just have to take proper precautions. Like for example,
accounting as well, because phishing, like when you have enough invoices a month, if someone just sneaks an invoice in there, you don't
suddenly
even notice
you've lost your bank account, and sure, you made $100,000 online, and then you just lost it, right? So a lot of, and I'm sure with your partner, like you guys probably have a partnership agreement that you follow, or like a contract. I'd hope so.
Like a founder's agreement.
Yeah. Do you have something? Okay. Exactly. Like that takes 10 minutes to do. You can go on a website, sign up for a free trial, do the form, and then cancel it immediately. And then now you're protected, and like God forbid something goes wrong with you and your partner, you have to. It's like the same thing as a divorce. You have to split up the assets. If you didn't do that, your partner, I don't think he would do this, but he could like, I originally came up with the idea, so all of this is mine, and then suddenly you're screwed.
Yeah.
You know? And a lot of people don't think about those things, and I want to highlight those things. And it's boring. You could say it's boring. You could say like, I don't care about that. Well, then okay, great, good for you. Go lose your business. I'll be protected.
Yeah. So I think the key theme is that like what really matters is how much money you get at the end of the day. So it's not how much revenue your business generated. If you don't have the correct legal protections, if you're not
you could
taking
lose
advantage
it like
of the correct tax laws, if you get hacked, if you get fished, fished, like, all of the money that you made never ends up in your pocket to begin with, or at least the most amount that doesn't.
Yeah. And people hate lawyers, but like the reason why lawyers get so much money is because they like keep you protected from then losing it all. Would you rather have $100,000 but pay $10,000 for a lawyer to make sure you never lost the 90, or do you rather have $0? You know? Or have a 50-50 chance of keeping your $100. I would pick paying the $10,000. You know?
Yeah, 100%, same. So I feel like from there, do you think a lot about how to invest once you have money as well?
Yeah, and that's another thing is like, I mean, there's so much investment. Like, go watch Graham Stephan if you want investment knowledge. The best investment is like find an S&P 500 ETF that like matches it, and invest, and don't take it out for 30 years. Like you will make 12% every year and be happy. Obviously, sometimes it will go down, but if you do that, you will be totally fine, and you will be able to retire no problems. Max out your Roth IRA as well.
Yeah, I was talking to my friend about this yesterday. Right, so there's like 3 elements. You have to make money, you have to keep money, and then you have to grow money.
Yeah.
And this whole thing, especially the keep and grow money part, there's a subreddit called Financial Independence.
Okay.
Just r/financial independence. And that community has made like, they call it like the financial independence flowchart, like an open source project gathering everyone's comments. It's like a bunch of nerds that just care about financial freedom.
Sure,
Put them in a thing, and they've developed like one flowchart that walks you through every step. Like, you know how you made that tree flowchart? Like that, basically, but for what
investing
should you do
money,
to become financially free. And so I showed my dad that, and he was like, yeah, that's pretty good. I was like, yeah, they came up with that on Reddit. He's like, oh, yeah, I mean, I'd be skeptical, but yeah, that's pretty good.
That's awesome. Your dad's a lawyer too, right?
Yeah, he is a lawyer, yeah. So yeah, like, I guess where I was going with there is like, even you don't have to for investing So my main point there with investing is you don't have to read like 1 billion books and watch every Graham Stephan video. Yeah. Just if you don't want to do anything, invest in the S&P 500. If you want to do a tiny little bit, just go to the financial.
Yeah. There's so many reasons, and nobody needs to hear me talk about finances. That's kind of my opinion. It's like, I'll tell you, like, go find a resource online, like, and don't be stupid. Like, watch it. Don't trade meme coins, right? That's another thing I get so pissed off about is, like, everyone, and make money online is a lot of it. It's like, people, it's like, I want to get rich quick or not at all rich. It's like, what's wrong with building, like, let's say your net worth grows $100,000 a year or $10,000 every year, but you're also then making 12% on it. Like, you're going to reach $1 million just as fast as, like, and you're going to learn a lot more than someone that just like wins the lottery for $1 million. And like, they'll probably lose all of it if they win it for $1 million. I mean, what is it? Like 80% of lottery winners lose their $1 million within 5 years or something? Yeah. Apparently at the entrepreneurship meeting on last Thursday, I learned about this kid who's a freshman here who made a ton of money off a meme coin. Okay. At Cornell, dropped out, moved to Miami, and is just flexing cars on his Instagram now. How much did he make? Do you know? I don't know how much he made, but he's showing a Lamborghini, so it must have been $1 billion. Yeah. But like, fair. If you've got lucky or have some formula to trade meme coins, like, go for it. But 9 out of 10 times, you're probably just going to lose all your money.
Yeah.
So
I'm
cool with my method.
Yeah, I agree. And I think actually get rich quick in terms of like 6 months is not realistic.
Yeah.
But get rich quick in terms of like 5 to 10 years of someone
Yeah.
who's talented and very dedicated, I think that actually is realistic. Like I think that's achievable through skill.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the other thing is like people are like get rich quick. Like 3 to 5 years is like quick. Like you
That's
live
really
for like
quick.
85 years. That's like
Yeah.
5 to 10%, like 5% of your life. Like if you could like, like that's fast. I don't think people realize that. Like 6 months, that's like no time at all in the grand scheme of your entire life. So
Yeah. I think the key is pretty much being like prepared. What I've found has happened in my entrepreneurial journey is that like you get random elements of like extreme luck, and you need to be, it's unlikely that in your lifetime you won't get lucky here and there. It's like basically impossible. You're going to get lucky sometimes in life. And as an entrepreneur, you need to be perfectly positioned that when luck hits you, you're ready to capitalize on it.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing, I'm a firm believer as well is like, yeah, obviously you can get lucky sometimes and unlucky sometimes, but like there are people that are more lucky, and that's not because like someone's looking down on them. It's because they put themselves in the right position for opportunities to present themselves. And I think entrepreneurs do a great job of that, and you've done a great job of that because like I think you recently posted a video like talking about your entrepreneurship journey, and because of all the steps you took, that was the only reason you were actually able to meet your co-founder and then go into YouTube automation. So everyone can say, oh, it's lucky you met this guy who had already figured out this amazing formula. It's like, no, you had done all these other things, and that was the reason you were able to approach him and work with him and get lucky per se, you know?
You know what it really reminds me of? That quote that's like, the tragedy of life is that the tragedy of life is that it only ever makes sense in reverse when played in reverse, or like the irony of life is that it only makes sense in reverse. And it's like, when I made that video looking at my 2-year entrepreneurship journey, it's funny how a lot of that stuff like made sense for me to get to the next stage. Like the fact that I had this Money Mind YouTube account. Before I ever posted on YouTube, I did like a year of posting TikTok videos. A lot of people don't know that, but like that got me so many reps on camera and put me in the right position that when an actual really good deal that I could offer to people, like the music royalties, comes up, I have the skills to be able to make a video that 350,000 people can watch.
And give that message, right?
Yeah, but it's like, that would never make sense from start to finish. That only makes sense from looking at the journey from the end and then being like, oh, so then I had the skill to do this.
And execute it properly.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think,
because I wouldn't have known the music thing would ever come to.
Absolutely,
to me.
yeah. Because how you started with it too. And the other thing is like, we talked, like a big thing on YouTube is outlier video, right? Like, why did this video perform so well? And you could say, oh, well, like, I know a lot of people, like, literally, we talked about this, like, we're copying your exact video that you made and posting it and basically saying exactly what you said in the video, but their video's got, like, 1,000 views, right? Why did their video get 1,000 views? It's not because, like, the video idea, right? Sure, but it's the execution that you made based off of everything else that you've done in the past. So, like, sure, it's an outlier video, but, like, let's say you had just started YouTube and that was the first video you posted back like 2 years ago when you first started TikTok. I don't think it would have gone viral because you wouldn't have had the camera presence and you wouldn't have had the experience doing all the other things that you've done. And that it's a combination of everything. Like you could say it's the title, the thumbnail, but there's also a lot of stuff. You yourself have to present yourself to the camera.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that was part of what went really well with that video, and this is like impossible to pre-rationalize, but I've seen this happen to multiple like people that get famous out of nowhere. They often find a cultural gap or like a 100%. Cultural hunger and are able to fill it at just the right time.
Exactly, yeah.
And I definitely think that's one thing that happened with my channel, which is like, people are just sick of gurus, and my channel was against that.
100%.
But like, it's very hard to like, Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can ever
You
statistic
couldn't
your
go
way.
back and be like, on that same day, be like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I know there's a gap in the market, right?
Exactly.
It's like,
I don't think you can statistic your way there
Yeah.
a lot of the time. Like you can, with the search things, you can
Yeah.
kind of find low demand,
Mm-hmm.
high demand, low supply videos.
but it doesn't even
But
mean you're the right person to convey
to
that
fill
message.
that. Yeah, what you really need is to just have a stark awareness of like the culture and the subculture and the niche that you're in.
Yeah. And you're authentic
just-
too.
yeah.
Like, you had a problem with gurus and you were genuinely, like, I'm sure when you're thinking, you're like, oh, nobody talks about not being a guru on YouTube. Like, you were just like, I'm annoyed that gurus, like, don't actually tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a video complaining about that and showing what I do instead.
Mm.
And suddenly you were super successful at it because you were actually passionate about the issue and had all those reps previously and a million other things. And now you can look back on it and be like, oh my God, I just filled this market that nobody knew
guys,
existed.
it was just undersaturated, guys. Like, no. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of, do you know Simon Sinek?
No, I
He's
don't
like
think
an
so.
author, but he kind of, a lot of his stuff talks about the why of stuff. So he has one book called Start With Why.
Okay.
He has another book called, I'm reading this one right now, called Finite Games versus Infinite Games.
Okay.
Or I think it's just
Some
called
of those
The Infinite
titles
Game.
do sound familiar. So
Yeah,
maybe I
and the concept is basically that, like, in both of those books, the concept is that everything turns out better, essentially, when you start with your reasoning and then build off of that.
Okay.
So, like, starting with, I have a mission to go against, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to try to end guru-ness.
Yeah.
That's your why, and then you come out with a product, like a YouTube
Sure.
video. Yeah. He thinks is like a
Better way to
always the
think
best
about it,
approach.
yeah. Huh. That's interesting.
But it's very interesting concepts. Like an idea I thought was very interesting was my point was the concept of, I think, the Infinite Game book was really interesting. I'm curious to hear what you think about it. But basically, his point is that there's two types of games. There's finite games and infinite games. Finite games is when everybody knows the rules to the game. There's a clear defined way to win, and all of the players within the game are known, basically. Okay. So like football is a finite game. Like there's a clear defined way to end the game. All of the players are known, like all of the people who are competing are known. And the goal is to win the game.
Yeah,
usually.
Score the most points.
Yeah. An infinite game is completely different. No one ever agreed to the rules to begin with in an infinite game. The players are known and unknown. And the point of the game is to keep the game going.
Yeah.
So there's no way to win your career.
Yeah.
Your career is an infinite game.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, like, you look at so many successful people today, it's like, why did they keep going? Like, why did Steve Jobs keep trying to push? Why is Amazon what it is today, right? Because people are always hungry for more. And I think that is a great way to describe your career or entrepreneurship journey, right? Is you're always, why, like, do businesses become so big? It's because you're hungry to more. And there's no rules, like, saying, oh, at this point, your business stops, right? Or, like, and there's also no like defining of like success, right? Because the barrier always shifts, right? That's why like you get hundreds and millions. Like someone has like $50 million, they don't have to work a day in their life, and they can live however they want to live. Why do they keep like working? And it's that infinite game, right? It's the infinite game of like making money or succeeding or whatever, because there's always new things that you want or joy or things that bring you what. Yeah.
The person I really see this in is Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
he's playing the infinite game of making the best possible videos. And there's no, that's not an end, you can't end making
because
the,
it can
you
always
can't
get
make,
better.
Yeah, you can't make the best possible video and then go home. Like, and so, and I see that, and all of his actions align with that. Like the fact that, like the first brand deal he ever made, he spent it all in the next video.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and I
every
love
single piece of
just
that.
some of the podcasts he's done as well. I mean, one of the coolest things I thought, which it didn't actually perform well, but it's showing his commitment to that, is he did a video where it was like no cuts. It was like 10 minutes straight of just one video. Like the video was exactly 10 minutes, and it ended with the timer. I know the video didn't perform, But like he's not afraid to like test something like that. So many YouTubers will be like, oh, like this $1 versus $1 million yacht works so well. I'm just gonna make 100 videos of that. He did like 7 or 8 videos about it, and he said like maybe I'll make like 1 or 2 more, but I'm never gonna touch that idea again. And like 99% of people would be like, no, I'm like, this
have
works.
A viral
I make like
a
$500,000 every time I post a video about this. Why wouldn't I make another? And he's like, no, like I want to make a new video that is going to be even better than this amazing viral format, which is like I respect him so much for him being able to do that.
It's so funny to me that he mainly started Feastables because his content wasn't profitable enough to fund what he wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So he made a business so he could make more money so he could fund making better
content. And also
content.
brands wouldn't pay him enough too. He got too big.
Yeah. So
Mr. Beast problems, you know?
Yeah. So that very interesting. Dude, thank you so much for
of course.
telling me all about window cleaning. This might be something I start up soon.
Hopefully it was helpful,
If I have a neighborhood. And thank you so much for being my first
thanks for having me on the podcast.
Peace.